hello. We are Reality Rift. My name's Cameron, the team lead, and our app is the Virtual Garden. Here's our breakdown of what we're going to be doing. We have a few teams that we've distinguished, around 2 people per team, and then multiple people on some teams. We're going to go over all these in depth with the multiplayer environment, specifically the greenhouse, the growing and lighting mechanics, the UI, the modeling, and then the web API integration. So functionality, the purpose of our app is pretty much to provide a fun and relaxing environment to enable learning of different vegetational life. So if you're into gardening or you're into herbal things, you can kind of have a simulator slash just activity that you can go into in a virtual setting. It's not mixed reality yet until we start kind of doing more development with it. You can give it gives you an opportunity to care for and grow for a variety of plants under different weather conditions, which we'll explain the weather conditions and those kind of aspects later. It allows teamwork with other players to grow these plants. So you can also, of course, be within a virtual environment with anybody else with a headset, and you can grow each other's plants. You can experiment with different lighting or different water amounts and different soils and stuff, which can get pretty fun.
So we're gonna have the web API. That's gonna help us, like especially in the multiplayer environment, depending where you're located at for the user. Let's say you're located here in Houston. It rains often, like today. You're going to be able to have actually rain at your greenhouse that you're going to be in. And so if you invite your friends to come over, it will be raining in your area. And we'll go more over that later too. The multiplayer greenhouse, that's going to be whenever you can just meet up with a bunch of people, make trades, go over that more too. The UI, that's going to be for like your tools that you're going to be using, the menu, like a shovel to dig your hole for your plants and the seeds. We're gonna have a constant tick updating for the plant growth. It's going to be like over a certain amount of time, the plant's going to start growing. We have an example for a video that we have for that later. And we're going to have the hands and controller interaction. So we're going to place anchor points for certain locations and for certain game objects that you can use. For example, like the water hose, watering your plants. The customization of tools and personalization of plants. So depending on your location, you're going to be given your plants at your area that you're from. And then you can also buy or pick other plants to grow in your greenhouse. In the VR multiplayer room, we spoke about that already.
Okay. For target audiences, for the general, our group decided that for the target audience, we want it to be for like casual audiences that are interested in gardening, students that are potentially interested in wanting to know how to garden, gamers who are also looking for a VR simulator, and also seniors or anyone that's not physically able to actually go out to a garden and actually garden.
Okay.
All right. So the business model. So we're gonna have like $10 upfront, so to play the application, and it's gonna be a one-time payment. We're gonna have plant packs when you purchase for $5. That gives you like the versus when it comes to tools, our plants, our fruits, our vegetables that you can grow in your garden and greenhouse. Extra decorations, you can make upgrades to your greenhouse or to your environment. And throughout the time of the application that it goes for, it's going to be, these packs are going to change pretty often. So for example, like every 48 hours, a new set will appear that you can buy.
Austin and I will focus on the multiplayer environment And our role is basically to learn from the NOCOM real-time API and also integrates the multiplayer environment from the NOCOM, which we will focus on the VR side. And this is related to the synchronizing of the game objects for the transformations and the position, rotation of the plants or the tools. And also we will synchronizing the customer data that related to the some of the trade between the players, and also we will synchronizing the playback for audio, like the sound of the ring or wind and also some music. And Austin will continue the multiplayer part.
So this is going to be our multiplayer environment. So we're going to have designed the interactions between other players that come in. NOCOM is going to allow us to do that. The real-time voice chat, so you can speak to each other. The plant sitting for friends. So let's say that Karen and I are wanting to play. I'm like, hey man, I'm traveling. I need you to take care of my plants. Can you plant sit for me? He's going to be able to come over, water my plants, make sure to get the water, and they're not dead when I come back. The greenhouse as a play area, that's going to be a common area to, especially for plants that can't grow in your area, will help you to use that there. We're going to have shared experiences, trade plants. So if Cameron and I, he wants a certain plant, I can give him some seeds and he can try to implement wherever he's from and grow it in his environment and give planting seeds. Oh, sorry, I spoke about that.
All right, so for the growing and lighting mechanics, this is a little complicated, but for an outline here, there's a lot of aspects, of course, when you're growing a plant. In the real biological world, you know, you have the amount of water it needs, the amount of sunlight it needs, the soil type, how well it's kept, you know, make sure that it's not too cramped, things like that. And so essentially programming wise, we have a few ideas. So what we can be doing is we can have ranges that are going to be determined, that are going to be incremented or de-incremented based upon the server ticking. So the constant update is going to be representing time. And so let's say you were to water a plant and it falls within a certain range of that specific plant needing to be overwatered or underwatered. As long as you maintain the waterage within that range, it should simulate the growing effect. If you have a lack of water or you overwater it, then you can put it in a wilting state, which, you know, I mean, a plant is either growing or not growing, which can be summarized to a Boolean of whether it's growing or wilting. So that will be another indicator that we can use to tell the player whether or not a plant is healthy or not. And then, like I said, the float, we'll have a float value kind of to determine the overall growing. So is it 0% grown or 100% grown? And then, of course, the float value can be used to moderate the scale of the plant. So how big it is, you multiply the growth value by the scale or whatnot. And so it'll all be pretty much number-based to determine whether or not a plant is being kept for properly or not. Another slide here. The plants are going to be independent objects, so they're going to be independent from the pot. The pot is going to be kind of like a UI placeholder for the plant. The pot isn't necessarily going to be determining whether or not the plant will be successful in growing, but based off of how well you take care of it and the type of soil you choose and how much you water it and stuff and where you put it in the greenhouse. Yeah, plants will come with default pots, but it can be changed cosmetically. The mechanics will be sustainable, so it'll be pretty simple as you can drag a UI system and then they will all interconnect. And you know, if the UI needs to have the range of the water and then show the water range, then it will be just easily accessible through like a float value or something like that. Yeah, you can go ahead and place a GUI item or any other tools that they make onto a plant, and it will automatically update and enable easy access to all the data for the plant for the rigid body. So
Okay, and then for the web API integration with slash weather, me and Cameron will also be working on that. We plan on integrating web API from the IP and weather source. Based on basically we'll keep track of the current weather. We're thinking like every 10 minutes we'll update the weather, and the visual effects will be shown in the greenhouse as it's updated.
Okay, hi, I'm Daniel, and my teammate's unfortunately not here today, but we're in charge of the menu and UI. The tutorial menu is basically going to be like a quick overview of the application, the game, or whatever. It's going to give a quick overview of how to use the application, and then we're going to also create a UI for the plant descriptions. Whenever you interact with the plant, it'll give information on the country that the plant originates from, the type of soil it needs, how much water it needs, etc. And then we're going to connect with the weather API to display the stats like the temperature, the humidity, the rain, whether it's raining, cloudy, sunny, whatever. And then we're going to also create another UI for plant statistics that are going to be updated based on the server of how much water the plant currently has, how much sun it's absorbing, and so on. And then we're also going to attempt to implement like an alert UI system that will keep the user on their toes in regards to how their plant is doing. And then a plant death UI, which will inform the user if their plant has died. And then we'll also implement a rewind time UI that will allow the user to basically back up time to a time whenever their plant was alive so they can continue to grow it. And then here's just a couple examples I threw up, just simple ideas of the plant stats UI and the alert UI.
So I'll be focusing on modeling, where I'll be making some essential elements, like the base of the garden, the plants, and some of the tools to water the plants, such as the pot. If needed, we can make tractors or the hands, which we'll be using as a visualization to pick up a plant or water the plant. Moreover, we'll be modeling like a variety of plants. For example, it can be vegetable or it can be flowers. So for vegetables, there can be some parts like roots, stem, and leaves, and then we have fruit. And then using Blender as a tool to model these objects. And once we model, we can use animation and rigging to control the object, or we can script it with Python if necessary.
All right, so here's our project roadmap. It's pretty minimalistic, but stage one is integrating the multiplayer prototype, which we have already done, and we'll show you a photo of that. Design and implementation. Stage three, of course, we'll do our check-in, show all the mechanics and everything and our assets. 4, we'll deliver the app API that will be fully integrated, and then our final presentation. All right, here's our breakdown. We have our scenario, which we know is like iffy, multi-user, point hands interaction, web API integration, controller support, and then potentially pass through with scene understanding if we plan to take the plants into mixed reality after you've fully grown them in the greenhouse. Yep. Here's our growth video. This is like a very simplistic plant growing state, I guess. It'll be more smooth, of course, but there's that, and then the other. This is the
Next one
multiplayer.
is whenever it's raining in the multiplayer environment. Haven't figured out yet to have a splash to show when it interacts with other objects.